We're having to model to children how to be with others, how you work as a team, how you share things, because they're so used to having their own time and doing their own thing. We're losing a big part of being human, and if these young children don't get all those skills, they're not going to pick them up later on. Yeah, so what we're going to create is a bunch of people who are just social misfits, completely unable to get along with one another, won't understand the joys and purpose of cooperation and socialization, and therefore will not, of course, get married, have kids of their own, and continue our countries.
Hey guys, today we are looking at a clip by Carl Benjamin, and he's going to be looking at a study showing that British children are having trouble with a number of developmental skills. Carl Benjamin is going to look at their reading skills in particular and talk about just what it's like for kids these days, having their parents read to them versus staring at a screen, and how that's affecting the next generations in real time. Let's go ahead now and we'll get into the clip.
Like, there have been a spate of reports that have come out recently that have revealed that actually our kids are really developmentally delayed. And that's really not good, is it? I mean, a lot of your flourishing skills in adulthood are actually, the foundations of them are set when you're a kid. And if you don't actually use these skills, if you don't develop them slowly over time, it's entirely possible that you won't develop them. I mean, look at this one, right? So a third of kids can't use books when starting school and try to swipe them like phones. Now, I know what you're going to be thinking. Well, changing technology. That's what happens when technology changes. Sure that, modern day mechanics have got terrible 7th century blacksmithing skills and all that. It's like, yeah, okay, fair. But actually, books haven't gone away, and kids do still like books. And as I say, 25% of difficulty with basic life schools. 28% of children started school unable to eat and drink independently. Come on, man. This is not really about that, is it? This is really about a very dramatic decline in the standards of parenting, isn't it? Now, let's speak about the screens. So, Specsavers, I guess the people who are concerned about this sort of thing, found that in the UK, children between 5 and 16 years spend an average of 2 to 3 hours a day watching television, 1 to 3 hours on the internet, and 1 to 2 hours playing video games, and over an hour on mobile phones. So that's 6.5 nearly hours of screen time a day, which is pretty mad. Like, I do not allow my kids to have 6 hours of screen time a day. But the thing is, I can see why some parents do. It's the easy option. Unfortunately, this is going to have to be one of those things where we're going to have to choose not to take the easy option. Now, you'll notice that the government has banned social media for under 16s. I think we should be banning smartphones and tablets for under 16s. Might not be a popular opinion. I'm prepared for backlash on this. But I'm actually getting to the point now where, my kids don't have smartphones. Obviously my 17-year-old does, but my young kids don't have smartphones. And occasionally, we'll let them watch something on YouTube or whatever. There's a YouTube Kids app. It doesn't have adverts. I don't know how it's funded. That you can get, where they can watch, just silly, colourful videos. And I'm not going to lie, occasionally when, it's like they wake up at like 7 in the morning on a Saturday morning, okay, watch this for an hour so we can get just an extra hour of sleep or whatnot. But like, it doesn't appear to be directly impacting their development. All my kids are very chatty and they love books and whatnot. But anyway, I'm not trying to defend myself or attack anyone. The point is, at some point, I think we're going to have to step in and have a real conversation about this, right? And this is something that the schools are really noticing. 98% of 2-year-olds watch screens on a typical day, and an average more than 2 hours, and almost 40% of 3 to 5-year-olds use social media. Yeah, that's a bit concerning, isn't it? We notice a lot of children will cut pieces of cardboard to make a mobile phone or tablet or an Xbox controller. That's what they know. Yeah, and this is the thing, right? It's not that they shouldn't be au fait with technology or anything like that, but there's something about this kind of individualized usage of the technology that is causing problems. As they say, there's also something of an attitude shift, a kind of individualism that she's convinced comes from playing alone on a device. We are having to model to children how to be with others, how you work as a team, how you share things, because they're so used to having their own time and doing their own thing. We're losing a big part of being human, and if these young children don't get all those skills, they're not going to pick them up later on. Yeah, so what we're going to create is a bunch of people who are just social misfits, completely unable to get along with one another, won't understand the joys and purpose of cooperation and socialization, and therefore will not, of course, get married, have kids of their own, and continue our countries. So that's not good, is it? Right? Not only are we being irresponsible with the future of our nations, but we're depriving them of something that actually has brought, all of us so much joy, which is the ability to actually connect with other human beings. And I think Gen Z are already feeling the effects of this, because, of course, they're the ones who first grew up knowing only phones with, tablets and screens. Like, at least the millennials can remember a time before smartphones, right? They can remember the old brick phones. And honestly, I'm well up for those making a comeback, have a renaissance of the Nokia. Not only is it indestructible, but it means that you can still contact one another and actually find out where you are, without this weird addiction that you end up getting. And to be honest with you, I didn't have a phone of any kind when I was a kid, and we made do.
There is a limited window of opportunity during neurological development phases for good things or bad things to happen. And whatever happens, the outcome will be leveraged in the future. So if it's a good outcome, the next phase is going to build upon those good habits. And if it's bad, the next phase will build on the bad habits. And very early on is a synaptic bloom. So your brain makes tons of connections. And later on in life, it's just going to trim those back. But also your mirror neurons during this period of time are just observing the behavior of all of the humans around you, and they're copying it. And during this phase, that's when you develop your innate sense of values. That's when you develop the values that are like emotional and heuristic. And it's only in later phases that you go back with a more developed brain and more experience sort of within the data set of your brain's memory to go back and try and justify logically why you have this value system. But the initial value system is printed right away with this mirror neuron development. So if you put your child in front of a screen during this phase instead of in front of a book, that screen interaction is going to stimulate different neurological development that's going to echo all the way through the future of their neurological development. Whereas if you put them in front of a book, or better yet, if you read a book to them, those interactions are going to be what set the stage for later neurological developments. Carl is 100% correct, and I would recommend getting your children as far away from the government as possible, as early as possible. The COVID response is a really good example of how the government can screw up an entire generation of its own people in just a matter of a few years.
And then you've got other concerns which suggest, honestly, not just a technology problem, right? What's the technology problem that means that a quarter of children in England aren't toilet trained? I know a lot of people are like, well, hang on a second, does that mean they're foreign kids? Well, hang on a second. Are they toilet trained in fucking the Maghreb or wherever they've come from, in India and Pakistan? Do they not toilet train their children there? I'm pretty sure they do.
If this circle represents all of the open defecation that happens in the world, this is the fraction that happens in India. And this is the fraction that happens only in rural India. 65% of rural Indians defecate in the open. So what that means is that most of the open defecation that happens in the world happens in rural India, and most rural Indians defecate in the open. Every day, 500 million people in villages in India go in the fields rather than use a toilet or a latrine. That's bigger than the population of the United States.
Yeah, so a bit of an L there for Carl at the very end with the toilet training issue. However, he is correct about the other stuff, and the damage is kind of already done in terms of the neurological stunting that we've handed off to an entire generation of children. We really got to backpedal and work pretty hard to make up for that, and we're going to feel the effects of that downstream with continued population declines. It's just another reason to basically keep your kids as far away from the government as possible, as much as possible. If you made it this far, thanks for watching the video. Please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons and sharing this video to help it grow.